We've now finally learned why the Trump administration has been demanding lists of registered voters for months from states across the country. But this has been an ongoing legal issue, with some red states complying, the White House suing more than 24 that didn't, and federal judges in 3 states tossing out those suits. And well, now, using whatever data it has, Trump's directed the Department of Homeland Security and the Social Security Administration to drop a nationwide list of certified eligible voters. And then, using that list, the U.S. Postal Service is barred from delivering mail ballots to anyone that the administration deems ineligible, or which Trump claims is necessary to prevent fraudulent voting by non-citizens, even though that there is no evidence they vote in any meaningful numbers. Right, just last year, the Brookings Institution found that mail voting fraud occurred in only 0.000043% of cases, or about 4 per 10 million. Also, the DHS system for verifying citizenship that Trump wants to use, it's been criticized not only for privacy concerns, but also because it has been shown to contain unreliable data sets. Right, even after just a few states began using the system, it reportedly flagged hundreds of people as non-citizens who were actually citizens. And so you've got the Brennan Center for Justice saying our government citizenship lists are incomplete and inaccurate. The United States Postal Service is overburdened and inadequate. This combines a car crash with a train wreck. And that's also without mentioning the dubious legality of all this, right? For one thing, the Constitution gives the states broad authority to run elections as they see fit. And even to the extent that the federal government can intervene, it generally requires an act of Congress, not just the president signing some decree. Also, on the mail-in ballots in particular, the Postal Service is run by a board of governors that's supposed to be independent from the president's direct control. And so as experts have pointed out, he's not meant to be able to tell it what mail it can and cannot deliver. Though with all that, Trump's been trying to erode the agency's independence for a while now, just like he's done for pretty much the entire executive branch, appointing loyalists to the board. And in fact, he's even proposed absorbing the service into the Commerce Department, whose secretary, Howard Lutnick, was there when Trump signed the executive order. And then as for the states, you had Trump threatening to withhold federal funding for any of them that refused to comply with the order. In fact, Trump said that the DOJ will investigate and prosecute anyone engaged in or aiding and abetting the printing, production, shipment, or distribution of ballots to individuals who are not eligible to vote in a federal election. Now, of course, the minute this thing was signed, the legal objections came flying in, with several states pledging to sue, including Arizona's Secretary of State.
This is how the majority of Arizonans vote. This is a system that was set up by Republicans and has kept them in a lot of power for a long time. It doesn't make any sense, especially when the courts have repeatedly told him, this is not in your purview, Mr. President.
With him also adding elsewhere, it is just wrong-headed for a president of the United States to pretend like he can pick his own voters. That's just not how America works. But then from Trump's perspective, it's apparently equally bewildering that anyone would think he can't pick his own voters.
I don't see how anybody can challenge it. You may find a rogue judge. You get a lot of rogue judges. Very bad people, very bad judges.
Now, this isn't the first time that Trump's tried to control elections via executive order. But he signed another one last year that's since been tied up in the courts, but he tried to limit mail ballots and require documentary proof of citizenship on the federal voter registration form. And so in the meantime, he's also been trying to restrict who can become a citizen and even strip citizenship from certain people, which actually brings us to yet another Trump executive order that is now before the Supreme Court, the one that is seeking to overhaul birthright citizenship. Right? Because for some 125 years, the courts have consistently agreed that the 14th Amendment, it grants citizenship to nearly everyone born on American soil, even if their parents aren't citizens. But then Trump came along and was like, no, that's stupid. With Trump arguing that the rules become outdated and is now being exploited by non-citizens running across the border right before they give birth.
It had to do with the babies of slaves. It didn't have to do with the protection of multi-millionaires and billionaires wanting to have their children get an American citizenship. It is the craziest thing I've ever seen.
And apparently he feels so strongly about this that today he actually attended the Supreme Court's hearing in this case, something that no sitting president has ever done, with Trump sitting right up in the front of the room alongside several cabinet members, including Pam Bondi and Howard Lutnick. And at least according to reports, the justices never acknowledged his presence, even though the man sitting across from them has repeatedly insulted them and questioned their legitimacy.
But you'd have the ones that were appointed by Barack Hussein Obama and Biden. I don't care how good your case is. You can have the greatest case ever. They're going to rule against you. They always do. And it's not supposed to be that way. They also are a, frankly, disgrace to our nation, those justices. They're very unpatriotic and disloyal to our Constitution. It's my opinion that the court has been swayed by foreign interests and a political movement that is far smaller than people would ever think.
But with all that, according to reporters who were there and the audio that we've heard, the justices seem much more skeptical of Trump's lawyer's argument than they were of the other sides.
And the stuff you have about unlawfully present is like Roman law sources you're going to. If somebody showed up here in 1868 and established domicile, that was perfectly fine without respect to anything, any immigration laws. There they were. And so why wouldn't we, even if we were to apply your own test, come to the conclusion that the fact that someone might be illegal is immaterial.
I would first cite Wong Kim Ark on that point, because Wong Kim Ark says you're...
Well, I'm not sure how much you want to rely on Wong Kim Ark.
The position you're taking now is a revisionist one with respect to a substantial part of our history.
Are you suggesting that when a baby is born, people have to have documents, present documents? Is this happening in the delivery room? So we bringing pregnant women in for depositions?
Even some of the conservatives appeared unconvinced, with Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito being really the only ones who seemed sympathetic to Trump's argument. Then when it was the other side's turn to defend themselves, Neil Gorsuch and Amy Coney Barrett grilled them as well, so it looks like they may be the swing votes here.